welcome to Navigating Immigration Today. I'm Iris.
And I'm Najib. We are thrilled to have you join us for our very first episode, where we will share our vision and mission for this podcast and dive into the critical topics surrounding the United States immigration system.
That's right. In a world filled with misinformation and divisive narratives about immigration, we believe it's essential to create a space for honest conversation and education. Our podcast aims to shine a light on the realities faced by immigrants, their contributions to society, and the challenges they endure.
Absolutely, Iris. Our purpose is to challenge the misconceptions and stereotypes that often cloud public perception. We want to provide you, our listeners, with accurate, evidence based information that fosters understanding and empathy.
So, today we're going to outline what our podcast is all about, discuss the key issues we plan to cover, and explain how we hope to empower immigrants and their families through knowledge and storytelling.
So let's start with how this journey began for us, Iris. Can you tell our audience what inspired you to focus on immigration issues?
Of course. My passion for immigration advocacy stems from witnessing the struggles of friends and family who have navigated the complex immigration system. Well, very briefly, I'll tell you about one family that I grew to know very well, a family that completely changed my understanding of the challenges immigrants face and their resilience in spite of those challenges. I first met Zia in 1984. She and her young family were refugees from Vietnam. They spoke very little English at first. Hmong was their primary language. I formed a family relationship with Zia and her children that has now spanned, I think more than 40 years. She welcomed me into her home, and I welcomed her into mine. I witnessed firsthand how Zia, in spite of suffering from an illness caused by Agent Orange poisoning, she worked full-time in janitorial jobs, raised 6 children and many, many grandchildren. She even farmed a 2-acre plot of land without motorized equipment so she could feed her family and other families. Zia passed away in 2018. Her funeral was attended by hundreds of people each day for 4 straight days. She obviously made a very positive difference in the lives of everyone she knew and her community. Now her children and grandchildren carry on her legacy. They are doctors, scientists, musicians, servicemen and women, and entrepreneurs who have started their own successful businesses. We will undoubtedly invite one of her children and perhaps a grandchild to join us in a future podcast. Zia's story, filled with resilience, hope, and sometimes heartbreaking challenges, that's what compelled me to take action. What about you, Najib? What inspired you to focus on immigration issues?
That was very emotional, and of course, that was a powerful motivation. I feel sorry for Zia, what she been through, and unfortunately, she passed away before I met her. It's been just a few years, and I wish I really wanted to meet her children and grandchildren. Anyways, for me, it is about recognizing the incredible contribution immigrants make to our society, and I personally know many of them. I'm also an immigrant. I've been here in the United States for about almost 4 years, and the immigrants that I personally know, they have contributed to this society, and many of them we see today, either the first or second generation of immigrations, they directly or indirectly run this country. They are on a higher positions, and those I personally know, I know how they were forced to flee or to live their country in the way they made it to the country, which is known as the country of everybody. It has a history of immigration and the land of opportunities, and those who made it to the United States with a pair of shoes and clothes, and now they have those that I personally know, and we would like to invite them, and I will talk to them to invite for our next episodes. They have hospitals in the United States, and some of them have a non-profit organizations. Through those, they provide health facilities and services to those who are in need. And their stories, there are many that I personally know. Their stories, they are incredible. They are inspiration. Just imagine. I mean, people who make it to this land of opportunity with just a pair of shoes and clothes are have hospitals today, and they serve the community, and there are many of them, and then they're doctors, they're scientists. So just like you mentioned Zia's grandchildren, and again, repeating this, everybody has a history of immigration in the United States, and they're rocking. They're not only they have great lives, but they help others in the United States and outside the United States. So, yeah, and then I believe they bring diverse perspectives, enrich our culture, and drive innovation. The United States is the only country in the world that doesn't have a culture, but cultures, hundreds of cultures. And yet, despite their important contributions, they often unfortunately face stigma and barriers. I want to help change this or that narrative.
And that's where our podcast comes in. Through Navigating Immigration Today, we want to provide a platform for authentic conversations about immigrant experience, covering the struggles, the triumphs, and everything in between.
So let's break down the main purpose of our podcast, starting with our commitment to challenging misinformation. Immigration can be a heated topic, you know that, and often people base their opinions on myths rather than facts, unfortunately.
Exactly. We'll be diving into common misconceptions, like the idea that most immigrants are criminals, or that immigrants take jobs away from citizens, or that they don't contribute to society. We want to debunk these myths with real data and stories. I'll just give you one example. NBC News reported that in the first 2 weeks of February, 41% of the 4,422 detainees do not have criminal convictions or even pending criminal charges. That flies in the face of the rhetoric that we're hearing from many sources.
And this leads us to our second purpose, empowering immigrants with knowledge about their rights. Many immigrants are unaware of the legal protections available to them by the U.S. laws, and we want to change that. And just as you mentioned, that the misperception or some belief that the immigrants steal their jobs, when I was graduating with my doctorate degree last May, 90% of the doctorate candidates were immigrants. So once you have those higher degrees, those higher level of degrees, and of course, as the mother of capitalism, 90% of the private sectors, they prefer to hire people with the highest level of education. So most of the immigrants, that's not a choice for them, unfortunately, because they come with degrees from their countries which are not accepted, unfortunately, or recognized or by the U.S. system. So they have to go through many other educational stages or further higher education, including masters and PhDs. So once you have more than one master's or more than two masters and a PhD, then the American companies or firms, they prefer to hire you, which does not mean you're stealing a job, but you're more capable. You have skills that many don't, and that was an option. That was not an option. You were forced to have the highest level of education, and then at the end of the day, that benefits you, which again does not mean stealing others' jobs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I get it. I totally get what you're saying. In this podcast, too, we'll provide practical information about how a person can navigate the immigration system, understand their legal rights, and access community resources. Empowerment through knowledge is essential for creating a supportive environment for immigrants and their families.
Uh, our podcast will also address, like I say, our podcast will cover everything about immigration and the American history of immigration and the American laws, and unfortunately, what is going on now. So our podcast will also address topics that are often overlooked, including the psychological impact of immigration status and the nuances of asylum law. These are critical discussions that deserve more attention as a citizen of this country for everybody, and as a human being, I believe. And then we have laws, and based on those laws, we need to discuss these critical discussions that deserve more attention.
Absolutely, I agree. We want to explore the intersection of immigration with social justice movements, highlighting how these issues are interconnected. Understanding the broader context helps us advocate for systemic change.
Speaking of systematic change, we will also be looking at the impact of deportation on individuals and families. These stories often go untold, even they're not covered by many media outlets, but they illustrate the profound consequences of current immigration policies.
Yes, I've been working recently to conduct Know Your Rights seminars for immigrants, and doing that has taught me a great deal about how the fear of deportation has affected families, whole communities. It's affected them so much that they are afraid to come to school, go to their jobs. I think humanizing these experiences is vital for fostering empathy. By sharing personal narratives, that's what we'll do on this podcast. We can help listeners understand the emotional, financial, and social repercussions of family separation, detention, and deportation.
Well, I remember when you were telling me these stories, they were emotional, and I was like kind of scared for a while. I mean, this is really a scary situation for those immigrants. Well, we will also provide information on the tactics used by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. It's essential for immigrants to know their rights and how to protect themselves. And again, I'm repeating this, that the U.S. laws are, I believe, the best laws in the world to protect individual rights, and this is what America is known for, and this is what everybody works for. There's even like people in a higher position in the government. I believe all they try to do is to protect the laws, and the laws then protect the individual rights. So that's all our podcast will also talk about this.
Yes, understanding what to do during encounters with immigration officials can make a significant difference. One of the things I do in the Know Your Rights workshops is emphasize the right to remain silent. That's a constitutional right that everyone has, including immigrants. We want to equip our listeners with the knowledge to navigate these challenging situations safely, and for allies to show their support for their immigrant neighbors and co-workers.
One of the problem for the immigrants is that most of them have not been to U.S. schools or to American elementary and junior high schools, where at a very early age you learn those amendments: the First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, 14th Amendment. Due process, equal rights, or rights of freedom of speech. So these immigrants, since unfortunately, they have not been to American elementary or junior high schools, where again at a very early age you learn all those rights. So then, yeah, we are where we are just to teach them or to let them learn their rights as an unaffiliated or individuals or entity. Our podcast is committed to delivering honest, unfiltered discussions. We are not bound by any organization's agenda, allowing us to speak freely about the challenges and triumphs within the immigrant experience. And again, based on those rights that we are given by the Constitution of the United States.
Absolutely. Our vision is to create an inclusive and informed society where immigrants are recognized for their contributions and treated with dignity and respect. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to be heard and should not be afraid to speak out and speak up.
Of course, very true. We want to reach to a diverse audience, including immigrants and their families, allies and advocates, service organizations, and the general public, who I believe play the main role. Each group plays a vital role in fostering understanding and support for immigrant communities.
Yes, our listeners, I believe, will include those who are seeking to dispel misinformation and gain a deeper understanding of immigration issues, as well as those who wish to become effective advocates for change. I just know that there are many people who want to help and who want to support immigrants.
As we move forward, we have a wide range of topics planned for future episodes, such as myths and misconceptions about immigrants, their rights in the United States, the history of immigration of the United States, or the immigration law, the INA, Immigration Nationality Act, the immigration courts, and the role of ICE, or Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and immigrant communities, which is not a separate community but part of this U.S. community. And there are immigrants, they have been living in this country for decades, and they have adopted the U.S. culture, norms, traditions, and they have become part of this community, and they have been contributing. So, yeah, a range of topics we are bringing you.
Well, we plan to not just be talking between ourselves, we also plan to invite various guests, including immigrants with personal stories, immigration attorneys and community leaders, authors of books about immigration. Their insights will enrich our discussions and provide valuable perspectives. We just know that our listeners are going to appreciate the multiple perspectives that we'll be able to present on this podcast.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, a diverse community. So if we keep talking, just you and me, would be a typical American culture where only two people in a family live, either senior Americans or very young Americans. So yeah, we will have guests, we will have experts and authors, just like you mentioned. As we wrap up today's introduction, we invite our listeners to join us on this important journey. Their support, the audience, your support and engagement can help us amplify the voices of immigrants and advocate for their rights, which is a human right, everybody's right. That is in the United Nations Convention, and most importantly, the rights we talk about are the rights that are given by the Constitution of this country. So you do have to support us.
Well, we're going to encourage you to subscribe to Navigating Immigration Today, the name of our podcast. Follow us on social media and share our podcast with anyone who might benefit from these conversations. Together, we can create a more informed and compassionate society.
Well, it starts from a drop, and then drops, and then drops of water makes it a river. So thank you for tuning in to our very first episode today. We are excited to embark on this journey with you and look forward to sharing more stories, insights, and discussions in the episodes to come.
So until next time, take care and remember to navigate with compassion.